ChatGPT have just released a new AI coding update for Mac OS that can now edit directly in IDEs. So for example, like Visual Studio Code or Windsurf, you can now actually edit your code directly inside these places. And this is available to Plus, Pro, and Team users. So let me show you exactly how it works step by step and how you can use it, plus how to get set up. Bear in mind, you're going to have to update your ChatGPT app. So first of all, make sure you've downloaded ChatGPT to your desktop. Then once you've done that, you want to just open up whatever IDE you're using. So in this example, I am using Visual Studio Code, which you can download for free. And then we've got the ChatGPT app open right here. And if we click on this button down here, you can see that we can run this with, for example, like Visual Studio Code, Cursor, it integrates with Visual. You can also, for example, open up inside Windsurf as well. And then basically when we've got our code open, so for example, we've got the AI automation audit running right here as a code for our project, we can go back into ChatGPT and edit that code. So you can ask it to do, for example, we can say, make this look more modern inside the chat. And it's actually attached the AI automation audit.html code there, and we can edit it, right? And you can see, so this is the code and the project that we want to update. Now we can select that inside ChatGPT, and then we can give it the instructions. For example, make this look more modern. That's going to load a new prompt, and then we can click auto apply code, and you can see we've got that switched on right there. Now, if you're wondering, okay, how do you set it up? Are you just going to open up the ChatGPT chat bar by pressing Option and space, or by clicking the ChatGPT menu bar icon, or you can also click the Work with Apps icon to manually work with apps from the ChatGPT window, right? Like I was showing you before, with the drop down, you just click this and then it will select, okay, do you want to use Notes or Windsurf, whatever you want. So it doesn't just work with coding as well, it also works with text editing apps. For example, it works with Apple Notes, Notion, TextEdit, Quip, Xcode, VS Code, including Code Insiders, VS Codium, Cursor, and Windsurf, JetBrains, TextEdit, Terminal, Item, Warp, and Props. Like Claude Code, which was just announced recently. This runs locally as well inside your terminal, so it's very similar in that way. Honestly, from what I've seen, I would say Claude Code is still better. But if you don't pay for Claude, if you're not on the Pro subscription, then ChatGPT might be a better option for you. And then what you can see here is when you're making code edits, you can ask ChatGPT to edit open files directly. You don't need to copy and paste. And when you ask for an edit, ChatGPT will generate a div that you can review and apply. And there's also an option to automatically apply edits, like you can see in this video right here. So you just open this up, that's running on here, and we can make the edits as we go along. What's also pretty interesting here is, like, for example, you could edit code in Terminal using advanced voice mode whilst working with apps, right? So all you do to do that is you click the wave icon in the chat bar in the main window. And when you're in the advanced voice session, the work with apps button gives you control of the app that you're working with, which is pretty useful as well. So let's see if this works. So let's say, for example, we've got this project over here inside our Explorer. We're going to grab the root colors of our project. Then I'm going to open up ChatGPT. So I'm going to press Command and Option, open up ChatGPT, and you can see it's selected the SEO ROI calculator HTML. So that's this file right here. And then if we say, okay, change the colors to make it more modern plus interesting, plus add some gradients, it's planning the approach, and we've set up auto apply code. We can also see the details as well. So you can see, for example, it's selected the CSS that we wanted, which is from here, right? So that's the root CSS codes and the color variables. Then it's going to apply some gradients, improve the CTA buttons, and it's just edited the code inside here, right? So you can see how I'm literally not touching this. I've not told it to do anything, but it's building this out step by step, which is pretty cool, to be fair. And then you can also pair this with a client I've set up with OpenRouter and 3.7 Sonnet. So you get the best of both worlds because you're using, for example, like ChatGPT alongside Claude 3.7, and you've got like two coding agents running in the background to just edit content locally inside your project. We can also, for example, like just go to our notes inside Mac, click on Notes, open the system settings, allow ChatGPT to edit it. And now if we X off the VS Code, but we just use Notes, and we'll say, write a short blog about SEO in notes. And then, for example, if we have some content inside notes, like you can see right here, then we can go back to that project and you can see it's working with notes. So it can take the context of other apps and use that to start building our content. So you can see here it says, for example, looked at notes, and then it's taken the context of this note right here and use that to answer directly inside ChatGPT. Let me show you another quick example now. So if we open up ChatGPT again, command plus space, then we're going to select the code that we're working with. So we've selected the backlink value calculator, which is this file right here. And then from here, we're going to say, okay, edit the headline, so it's more interesting. That's going to load ChatGPT. We can also switch between the models. I'll show you that in a second. And then we just have to wait for this to load. So you can actually see the details here of how it's working. And then you can see the code is updated right there. So it says one file changed. And you can also revert the changes or you can review them, right? So if you click on review, you can compare what it looked like before and after, which is super useful. So this is the original file. This is the new file after the update. And then you can revert that as well. So you can undo the changes that you made, which is pretty useful. And you can also switch between models, right? So for example, like ChatGPT 4.5, that usually feels a lot more human. It's not great for writing big blocks of content, but for more creative tasks where it's just a few lines, this is quite easy. So for example, if we open this up and we'll have a look what it looked like before, let's reveal this in Finder. By the way, Visual Studio Code is free to use as well. And then you can use some free APIs with OpenRouter if you want to get that set up for free as well. But here's the original version, right? So pretty basic right there. Now, if we go back into Visual Studio Code, we'll open up ChatGPT and I'm going to say, okay, make the design much more modern plus interesting plus feel much sleeker, right? And that's going to be using ChatGPT 4.5, which does take a bit more time to respond. But at the same time, if you get better outputs, it's 100% worth it, right? So let's see what we get back in a second. And you'll see how it's like planning the approach. You can see the details of what's happening as it goes along. So how it's editing the CSS, what it's going to edit. It also insert some useful notes inside the code as well. And bear in mind, like, I'm not a coder or a developer, right? Like, I have no idea how to code. But it's very easy to not just write code now with AI, not just build tools and apps and websites and everything else in the space of minutes, but also to do the fine tunes on it, right? To fine tune it down and make it better and just add those final details using ChatGPT. Also, just going to warn you now, this takes a little bit of time to get your head around, right? So when you're doing this, first 20, 30 minutes, I had no idea what I'm doing. Now it seems to work perfectly. So we've got that good to go now here. Again, we can review the changes before and after. So this was before, this is after. And then let's just save the changes we've made so far. And we'll open this up, grab the new version, and you can see the difference here, right? So for example, this is the old version, this is the new version. And then you can just go back and forth with it and tweak it, or if you don't like it, just revert and remove the changes that you made. So pretty useful stuff there. Honestly, am I going to use it that much? I don't think it's that great unless you're like a full-time coder. So for example, I'd rather just, for me, the simplest solution is always the best. That is Occam's razor. However, if you're a coder, if you're a developer, this is probably super useful. Or if you're having like potential problems with one part of the code, then yeah, it's probably going to be better. Also, the other thing to note here is like, you can already do this inside the chat, right? So for example, if we click on edit, we can actually just highlight that one particular part of the code and then start editing it. Like, so you can already do this. And honestly, like for me, I genuinely think, for example, Claude 3.7 is much better for coding. So for example, if we go back to this file right here, the backlink value calculator, we say edit the backlink, and we'll use Claude 3.7 for editing this, which you can change down here. And we'll use exactly the same prompt. So I'm just going to say, change the background on the backlink value calculator to make the design more interesting, sleek, and modern. All right, then it's going to take the file like you can see, and it's editing that right here. However, the one thing that I would say here is if you're using the API for Claude, obviously that's going to cost more money to use versus if you're just using the app from ChatGPT, that's going to save on API credits because you're using the chat version, which doesn't cost any money. And you can also select between different models here. So you could use, for example, O3 Mini High, which is great at coding and logic, probably the most powerful model for that. And you might get better outputs that way. But if you're on a budget, maybe ChatGPT is better. But if you want the real McCoy, then for sure, Claude it's the best. I think it's unbeatable right now. For content writing, for coding, for everything. And by the way, if you want the recipe from today and the step-by-step instructions, including links to all my best templates and workflows, that's inside the AI Profit Boardroom. So we'll plug in the step-by-step recipe right here. Link in the comments and description to that. The other thing to note here as well is like Claude is superior in the way that it can actually just preview inside the browser exactly what the page looks like. And so it can self-iterate, right? So for example, here it says, I'll use the browser action tool to view the current state of the file in browser, which will help me to see if the changes I've made so far are working as expected. And then it will just keep self-iterating until it's done, right? So Claude is better in many ways simply because it's got vision as well, which is going to make it more powerful, whereas ChatGPT can't do that. Now, what you can do inside ChatGPT, if we open up a new window whilst Claude is coding right there. So if we go back to our file, we can actually open up ChatGPT advanced voice mode. So we just click the wave right here. And then I'm going to say, edit the headline of this page to make it better and more interesting. And it does take a while to load this, as you can see. So it's not that fast, honestly. It's not as good as the ChatGPT advert makes it look. And then now it's updated the headline. We should be good to go on that. If we open up the chat as well, we can see my original prompt with voice mode. And then you can see that it's made the edits to the file with voice mode, which is pretty impressive to be fair. So it's updated the headline. And again, we can apply those changes, save them, and we're good to go. One of the biggest issues though with Claude as well, like you can see inside the chat here, is that it just takes absolutely ages. So we've spent like $1.30, whereas the ChatGPT edits for free. And it was exactly the same prompt, right? So change the background to make the design more interesting, sleek, and modern. And that has taken absolutely ages. It just keeps running API requests, which is pretty crazy. And it still doesn't look that much better, right? So typically Claude is better for editing content, but if we have a look at this, it basically looks the same as it previously was. Whereas the edits with ChatGPT versus the original, which is here, literally were like instantaneous. So it's a lot faster. So thanks so much for watching. If you want access to all my best prompts, agents, workflows, SOPs, feel free to get that inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Prices are going up in just a few days. This is the early beta price. So make sure you sign up before you miss out on that. This also comes with a community of 276 members, all interested in scaling their business, saving time, and making more money with AI. On top of that, you also get all of my best trainings inside the classroom, including email and content automation, social media and video automation, AI agents and workflows, all my best SOPs, plus a crash course on exactly how to save hundreds of hours using AI. And on top of that, you also get weekly coaching calls. So you can jump on these weekly Q&A calls, ask any questions you have, get the support that you need, and get help that way. Feel free to get that link in the comments and description. Make sure you sign up before you miss out. And if you go to the SOP section and then scroll down to ChatGPT Mac OS Operator, you'll get all the details right there. And if you want to get a free one-to-one SEO strategy session, feel free to get that link in the comments and description. We'll show you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 visitors a month and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales on autopilot. On this free link building acceleration session, you'll get a free SEO domination plan that's custom tailored so you can generate more lead sales and profits from your website. You'll discover the secrets to SEO link building. We'll answer any questions you have one-to-one. You'll learn the best link building strategy for your website, plus have to 10x your SEO traffic based on what's working for us and our happy clients, like you can see right here. Feel free to get that link in the comments and description. Appreciate you watching. Bye-bye.